All right, folks, welcome to another edition of our PyMCon interview. I have Todd Hendricks here, and he's going to be giving a fantastic talk on voting rights and how he's using hierarchical binomial distributions to figure out whether voting is conducted fairly or not. But I don't want to spoil his talk, and I don't want to steal his intro. So, Todd, do you just want to introduce yourself, tell folks about yourself?
My name's Todd Hendricks. I work at the Legal Defense Fund in New York City. I work for a team of lawyers who basically bring Voting Rights Act of 1965 claims on behalf of minority voters. You know, voting, when you think about it, Ravine, is pretty complicated. There's a lot of moving pieces. You have to register, you have to show up. So logistically and data-wise, there's a lot going on. What we focus on is a very narrow slice of voting issues that are distinct in the sense that they're not readily apparent. Meaning, if you look, at the election results, everybody's registered, but there's something structurally about the election system that's just not right. The technical name for it is called vote dilution. So that's what we work on. It's been a blast so far. I've been in this job for about almost 2 years now. So yeah.
So lawyers and statisticians seem like an unlikely set, at least based off my priors. But so I wanted to ask you, Todd, how did you get into this line of work, and then specifically the statistics angle of it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'll zoom out and talk about the area of the law that I work in. I just mentioned, vote dilution. And what's unique about this area of the law is that there was a guy named Gary King from Harvard who developed the beta binomial for this application. And this was like late 80s, early 90s. And this area of the law has really matured in parallel with the model. Because before the model came along, there wasn't really a good way to characterize what needed to be characterized. And so this model is really the foundation of the law. And so I got into it. I went to a boot camp called METIS. You might be familiar, but I learned, scikit-learn, and it was very machine learning oriented. But, I got out and I was looking for an opportunity. And in this space of minority vote dilution, there's only 10 people that actually know how to fit this model. And, I had some PyMC experience before the job, and I got lucky in that, I ran into one of the expert witnesses on one of our cases that she saw I wrote Python, and she was like, wow, all right, you're on, we'll give you a shot. So
Todd, then it sounds like your background isn't a PhD in statistics. Could you tell folks more about how you got into statistics before the boot camp, what interested you, and your learning path from a not PhD statistics to where you are now applying models in practice?
I was introduced to regression in my master's program. I actually have a master's in public policy from the University of Texas. And that was where I really kind of got a sense of, hey, this is kind of important. This is a powerful tool. And I wasn't good at it, to be clear. But, when I finished up with my grad degree, I went into the renewable energy industry, where I basically was doing data analysis for asset management, basically running a regression for operating solar plants to compare the energy that they produced with what we would expect it to produce. And so obviously it's very data intensive, and this is where I had to pull out the old regression textbooks and kind of get refreshed on things. But I fell in love with data. That was the job that really kind of helped me appreciate just how important data is, not only in commercial applications, but just in general. And so that's how I got started.
So with that advice, a lot of folks that are going to be watching PyMCon will be coming from a similar path for you. Self-learning, probably pulling bits and pieces of statistics knowledge that have been imparted to them throughout various degrees and courses or boot camps, particularly for the Bayesian learner. And now that you're, I'll say, a Bayesian practitioner, what advice would you have for somebody that's sort of walking the same road that you have now walked?
I once heard, never stop building skills. And I always really appreciated that mantra because, as you know, like there's just so much just in programming, just getting code to work. And we take that for granted once we get to a certain point, but there's just always something that you can be doing better, whether it be data cleaning or, any variety of things. So just always be working on something to make your job a little bit more easy, something that helps you be more effective. I think that's really what helped me. And we talked about my background. I did the master's program, but there was a point where I learned the value. I was exposed to code, and I thought, I really need to learn how to do this. Like this seems important. So I went to a web development boot camp. This was 2017. And then I bounced around a couple of jobs. It was kind of rough there before I found the right fit. I did a couple of web dev jobs that didn't work out. And then I found somewhere that I wasn't using my coding skills directly, but I found different ways to use them. And then I went to the Metis boot camp, which is kind of, it's a lot, 2 boot camps, but ultimately I built a pretty good skill set or toolbox of different tools to rely on.
That's great. It sounds like you stuck with it and found your path through. Same experience I had. It was a little bit more random than I would have liked. More of a random walk for those who know about MCMC than I had wished. But thank you, Todd. Thank you for taking us through both the application of what you're doing and then also your background so folks know more about it. So folks, know that this is just the interview portion of Todd's PyMCCon event. Todd is going to be recording a talk over his notebook where he talks much more in detail about the models that he just alluded to earlier to this. And he'll also be doing a live Q&A later this month. We're currently in May of 2023. So please join in on PyMCCon. We have the other talks that are already on the website and more to come. And also know that if you would like to sit in the hot seat like Tom and show off all the cool work that you're doing, our call for proposals is always open on the website. So Todd was brave enough to apply way back when we opened the CFP in December, and many months later we're here and we're going to hear much more from him. I haven't even seen his talk and I'm quite excited for it. But with that, Todd, thank you so much for both taking the time for me to interview, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing about a relevant topic and one that intersects statistics in quite an interesting way soon here.
Thanks for the opportunity. Looking forward to the talk.